So in previous videos I've done Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster shootouts covering the years from 1950 to modern day, so do check those out if that interests you. Now in the last video I took a look at a Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster modern day build of the 1950s era. This time we're going to look at that style of guitar, here they are, from the 1960s era, and again the question: how different are they, and which, if any, would you choose? Or would you, like me, need to have both? After all, they are great iconic guitars of days gone by, and specifically regarding the pre-CBS takeover period of 1965. Hello viewer, my name's Stu. Please do check out the rest of my channel as it covers my return back to playing and recording guitar after a 40-year break. Now again, I like to say a big thank you to those who take time to subscribe, comment and get in touch. It helps the channel and it's appreciated. Now I did mention in a previous video I won't be uploading every week as I concentrate on my recording projects, but I will continue to correspond with those who message me and leave comments. So coming up, number 1, the guitars and a quick description of each model. Number 2, what they sound like in direct comparison to each other. Number 3, points of interest. Number 4, my likes and dislikes. And number 5, a conclusion, final remarks. So without further ado, and a very brief explanation of these two models. Number 1, starting with the Fender Custom Shop Limited Edition late 1964 Stratocaster Relic in a 3-tone sunburst over an older body. The pickups are hand-wound fat 60s, while the selector switch is the 5-way blade type, which was introduced in the late 1970s. Now the tremolo block is of the vintage style, and compared to the previous 50s model that I reviewed, it's pretty good actually. It's staying in tune. It has a triple ply pickguard with the 11 screw fixings. The one-piece rift-sawn maple neck is sculpted to a 63 style C neck profile, which is very comfortable to the touch. The fingerboard is a dark AAA rosewood with 21 narrow tall, 6105 frets and a radius of 9.5. It sports a bone nut, and the tuning keys are of the vintage style. Now the case it comes in is manufactured by the American case company G&G, and the outer covering, in this example as you can see, is black. It's a textured vinyl with leather stitching binding at the ends. Next up, the Fender Custom Shop Limited Edition 1961 Telecaster in a relic finish and in a colour called Aged Sherwood Green Metallic. Now the body is based on a 1963 style made of alder. Now it comes with a 63 style Nitro Relic pickguard, which I changed for an aged pearl guard, and here you can see the traditional Telecaster bridge setup with its 3 barrel brass saddles. The pickups are both hand wound, at the bridge an original blackguard single coil, and to complement and offset that, a twisted Tele single coil at the neck, giving a more mellowed out tone. The volume and tone controls are knurled with a flat top. The grease bucket tone circuit rolls down the tone without increasing bass frequencies, and that classic 3-way selector switch has the top hat design. The quarter sawn maple neck has the 60s oval C shape, very comfortable to the feel. The dark rosewood fingerboard has a 9.5 radius with 21 narrow tall 6105 frets. The bone nut has a width of 1.65 and the tuners are of the vintage type. Truss rod adjustment, just like the Strat, is at the body end of the neck. Now the case it comes in, again, manufactured by the American case company G&G. The outer covering in this example is a brown textured vinyl with leather stitching binding at the ends. So number 2, how do they compare in regard to tone? As with the previous 50s guitars, I'm going to be playing through a Bad Cat Black Cat amplifier. And a quick note, this amplifier does need to be dialed in to best suit the pickups in use, so I'm going to set it to a general middle of the road tone to give a flavour of what differences there are between these two guitars. Now I'll play some chords clean with some reverb across the different selector positions in a quick side-by-side comparison. So neck pickup position 1. Middle position 2, which is position 3 on the Stratocaster. Here is position 2, that out of phase position on the Stratocaster. Bridge position 3, which is position 5 on the Stratocaster. And here is that position 4, the out of phase position on the Stratocaster. And now adjusting the amplifier controls for a moderate overdrive tone with reverb, I'll demonstrate the pickup reaction where I strum picked the strings with restraint and then played more forcibly. Neck pickup position 1. Middle position 2, which is position 3 on the Stratocaster. Here is position 2, that out of phase position on the Stratocaster. Bridge position 3, which is position 5 on the Stratocaster. And here is that position 4, the out of phase position on the Stratocaster. Keeping the controls the same, I'll demonstrate with the addition of a TC Spark boost pedal. Neck pickup position 1. Middle position 2, which is position 3 on the Stratocaster. Here is position 2, that out of phase position on the Stratocaster. bridge position 3, which is position 5 on the Stratocaster. And here is that position 4, the out of phase position on the Stratocaster. So number 3, things I would personally mention that might be of interest to you. 2 Fender guitars representing the 1960s, both again very enjoyable to play, but quite different from each other. And again, it all depends on what you're playing through, how you dial in the tones, and the style of music that you're playing. Of course, again, the Stratocaster has not only got that tremolo, but a 5-position switch, enabling those glassy tones in positions 2 and 4, so iconic of the Stratocaster sound. Now, they both feel different in your hands. The fretwire and fingerboard radius being the same gives some feel of familiarity. Again, both guitars, due to the very different pickups, need to be dialed in to get the best tones that suit these guitars. Again, just like the 50s models, yes, they are very different, but still feel as though they are cut from the same cloth, so to speak. So both guitars need to be dialed in to best suit the pickups and to get the best tones out of them. So number 4, likes and dislikes. What do I like? Again, I really like both of these guitars. They have their own character, just like the 50s models. They are very different from each other, again, in a positive way. And for me personally, these are what I would say are the more usable instruments compared to the 1950s guitars that are reviewed in the previous video, and specifically for recording work. Now again, just to say, that difference is not a bad thing. They all have their own charm, but these 2 1960s era guitars, they're just great. I love them. And as I say, great in my recording projects. Both are very stable to work with, and the Telecaster in particular is such a versatile guitar and cuts well in a busy recording mix. So, what do I dislike? Again, I'll mention that I use a floating tremolo setup, which is the most challenging setup for tuning stability on a Stratocaster. So, these are 1960s styles guitars, and like the 50s models, they are what they are. So so if you will, any perceived idiosyncrasies, go with that territory. But without doubt, they are very nice instruments to play, typical of the Fender Custom Shop relic department. So number 5, conclusion, final thoughts. My conclusion: they are both enjoyable guitars, and anyone, again, with an interest in the 1960s or the 1950s era, where you don't want to spend huge sums of money on vintage gear, Fender has done a great job on these particular models. Of course, there are all types of build variations available, so you've really got to do your homework if this is something you're interested in. Now, I mentioned before, if you have a love for Telecasters and Stratocasters, there are some really good books out there that make for great reading, and I certainly found some of them helpful when looking to learn about specific models. Now, as always, I've got to say no one paid me to mention the products shown, so just my opinions. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I mentioned previously, I will likely only be uploading videos on perhaps a monthly basis, unless something should crop up as I concentrate on my recording projects. But always I'm interacting on the channel with private messages and comments. So please do think about subscribing, hit the bell to get notifications, like and share as always. It helps the channel out. Do check out my channel playlists, which cover my journey back to playing and recording guitar after a 40-year break. So whether you're a newcomer, an ongoing player, or like me, an old hand, returning to guitar playing, I always take time to engage with folks who take time to comment. So until next time, the journey continues and my recording journey continues. Do take care.